My daughter-in-law threw my grandson's beloved teddy bear in the trash. I rescued it, thinking he'd want it back. At home, I noticed something hard inside. Curious, I cut it open, and what I found made my blood run cold. Where are you watching from today? Drop your location in the comments below and hit that like and subscribe button. Let me back up and tell you how I got to this moment. Sitting in my kitchen at 11 at night, staring at a tiny camera that had been hidden inside little Tommy's stuffed bear for God knows how long. It started 3 days ago when I went to pick up Tommy from Sarah's house. Sarah is my son Michael's wife. And while I've tried to maintain a good relationship with her over the years, she's always made it clear that my presence is more tolerated than welcomed. She's one of those women who smiles with her mouth, but never with her eyes, if you know what I mean. I knocked on the front door and waited. Through the window, I could see Tommy in the living room, clutching his worn brown teddy bear that he'd had since he was 2. Mr. Buttons, he called it. That bear went everywhere with Tommy, a constant companion that had seen him through nightmares, doctor visits, and every sleepover at Grandma's house. Sarah opened the door looking frazzled, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, wearing yoga pants that had clearly seen better days. "Oh, Diana, right? You're here for Tommy." As we discussed yesterday, I said, keeping my voice neutral. "The zoo trip, remember?" "Right, yes." She glanced back into the house nervously. "Actually, there's been a change of plans. Michael thinks Tommy's getting too old for these outings. He needs to focus more on his studies." I raised an eyebrow. Tommy was 8 years old, and it was Saturday. His studies. "You know how competitive things are these days," Sarah said, blocking the doorway with her body. "Children need to stay focused if they want to succeed." Behind her, I could hear Tommy's voice. "Grandma Diana, are we still going to see the elephants?" Sarah's jaw tightened. "Thomas, come here, please." Tommy appeared beside her, still holding Mr. Buttons. His face lit up when he saw me, and my heart did that little flip it always did when I saw my grandson. He had Michael's eyes, but my late husband's stubborn chin. And when he smiled, the whole world seemed brighter. "Sorry, buddy," Sarah said, putting her hand on Tommy's shoulder in a way that looked more controlling than comforting. "Grandma Diana can't take you today. Maybe another time." "But you promised," Tommy said, his voice small and confused. I knelt down to his level. "It's okay, sweetheart. We'll go another day." I reached out to give him a hug, and that's when I noticed something that made my stomach twist. Tommy flinched when I moved toward him, a slight but unmistakable pulling back that spoke of someone who'd learned to be careful around adults. "Sarah," I said, standing up slowly. "Is everything all right?" "Everything's fine," she said quickly. "Tommy's just tired. It's been a long week." But as I looked at my grandson, I noticed other things. A small bruise on his forearm. The way he held himself slightly hunched, as if protecting his ribs. The careful way he moved like someone who'd learned not to make sudden gestures. "Well," I said, forcing brightness into my voice. "Maybe Tommy could at least show me his room." I brought him a new book. "Actually, we're about to head out," Sarah said. "Ran's to run. You understand?" That's when I heard it. Michael's voice from inside the house, loud and angry. "Where the hell did I put those papers, Sarah? I told you not to touch my desk." Tommy's grip on Mr. Buttons tightened, and he took a small step backward. "On second thought," Sarah said, her voice strained, "why don't you take Tommy for a few hours? Well, pick him up around dinner time." The sudden change made my suspicious mind go into overdrive, but I wasn't going to look a gift horse in the mouth. "Of course, Tommy, grab your jacket. Can Mr. Buttons come, too?" Tommy asked, looking between Sarah and me. Sarah's expression darkened. "Tommy, you're getting too old for that ratty old thing. It's time to grow up." "Actually," she continued, her voice taking on that false sweetness I'd learned to recognize as danger. "Why don't we just throw it away? It's getting dirty and falling apart." Tommy's eyes went wide with panic.
"No, please, Mom.
"He's not dirty. I'll take better care of him. I promise." "The bear stays here," Sarah said firmly. "Diana, he'll be fine without it." As we walked to my car, I could hear Tommy sniffling quietly. I glanced back and saw Sarah tossing Mr. Buttons into the large garbage bin by their garage. The sight of that beloved toy disappearing into the trash made something inside me snap. Tommy loved that bear more than anything in the world, and Sarah had just thrown it away like it was nothing. "Tommy," I said softly, "how about we stop for ice cream on the way to my house?" We spent the afternoon at the park, and slowly Tommy began to relax. We fed ducks at the pond, played on the swings, and talked about everything and nothing. But I noticed he kept touching his ribs when he thought I wasn't looking. And once, when a father at the playground raised his voice at another child, Tommy instinctively moved closer to me. When I dropped him off that evening, I made a decision that would change everything. I waited until all the lights were off in the house. Then I crept back to their garbage bin. Digging through coffee grounds and food scraps, I found Mr. Buttons near the bottom, dirty but intact. "Sorry, old friend," I whispered to the stuffed bear. "Tommy's going to be so happy to have you back." But as I held the bear up to the streetlight to check for damage, I felt something that didn't belong. Something hard and rectangular inside the bear's chest. Definitely not stuffing. Back at my house, I set Mr. Buttons on my kitchen table and stared at him. In 30 years of being a grandmother, I'd seen a lot of toys come and go, but I'd never felt anything like this inside a stuffed animal. I found my sewing scissors, and with a kind of careful precision I'd learned from 40 years of mending clothes and fixing toys, I made a small incision along the bear's back seam. Inside, wrapped in plastic and duct tape, was a small digital camera. My hands started shaking as I pulled it out. Why would someone hide a camera inside a child's toy? And more importantly, who had put it there? The camera was still warm. That's when I realized Tommy hadn't just been carrying around his beloved teddy bear. He'd been carrying around evidence. The camera was password protected, but I've spent enough years helping Tommy with his electronic toys to know that most people use predictable passwords. I tried his birthday, then Michael's, then Sarah's. Nothing. I sat at my kitchen table until 2 in the morning, turning that tiny device over in my hands. The implications were staggering. Someone had been recording my grandson, possibly for months, and they'd hidden the evidence in the one place no one would think to look, inside his most treasured possession. Sunday morning came too soon. My phone rang at 7:30, jolting me from the restless sleep I'd finally managed to catch on my living room couch. "Diana, it's Sarah. We need to talk." Her voice was different, tighter, more controlled than usual. "Good morning to you, too," I said, switching the phone to speaker while I started making coffee. "What can I do for you?" "Tommy says you promised to bring Mr. Buttons back." I paused with the coffee filter halfway to the machine.
Did he now?
"Yes. And I told you yesterday that we're getting rid of that toy. He needs to learn to let go of childish things." "Sarah, that bear means the world to him. Though what's the harm in letting him keep it?" "The harm," she said, her voice rising slightly, "is that you're undermining my parenting decisions. Michael and I have agreed that Tommy needs to mature, and that includes giving up baby toys." I looked across my kitchen at Mr. Buttons, sitting on the counter with his small incision barely visible. Since when is an 8-year-old considered too old for a stuffed animal? Since his behavior has become problematic, Tommy's been having nightmares, wetting the bed, acting out at school. His therapist says he's too attached to comfort objects. Therapist? This was the first I'd heard about Tommy seeing a therapist. "What kind of problems at school?" I asked carefully. "Aggressive behavior. Fighting with other children. Refusing to follow directions." Sarah's voice took on that practiced tone parents use when they're repeating someone else's diagnosis. "Dr. Martinez says it's common in children who don't have proper boundaries at home. And Dr. Martinez thinks the solution is taking away his security blanket. Dr. Martinez thinks Tommy needs to learn coping mechanisms that don't involve clinging to objects." I set down my coffee mug harder than necessary.
"Sarah,
"Tommy has never shown aggressive behavior when he's with me. Are you sure there isn't something else going on?" Silence, then more quietly. "What are you implying?" "I'm not implying anything. I'm asking directly. Is Tommy safe at home?"
how dare you?"
Her voice went ice cold. "How dare you even suggest that we would hurt our own child? I didn't say you would hurt him. Asked if he was safe. Same thing. And the answer is that this conversation is over. Do not bring that bear back, Diana. Do not encourage Tommy's unhealthy attachments. And do not question our parenting again. She hung up before I could respond. I stared at the phone, my mind racing. In all my years of dealing with Sarah's controlling behavior, she'd never been quite this defensive. And the way she'd immediately jumped to the conclusion that I was accusing them of hurting Tommy suggested that the thought wasn't foreign to her. I picked up the camera again and tried a few more password combinations. Tommy's middle name, the street they lived on, Michael's birthday backwards. Still nothing. Then I remembered something. Tommy had mentioned his favorite number once when we were playing a counting game. 17. He'd said it was special because it was the day he got Mr. Buttons. I typed 1717. The camera unlocked. The first video file was dated 3 months ago. Tommy's bedroom shot from the angle of someone sitting on his bed. The quality was surprisingly good, clear enough to see details I wished I couldn't see. Michael's voice off camera. If you tell anyone about this, Tommy, no one will believe you. And if they do believe you, you'll never see Grandma Diana again. Do you understand? Tommy's small voice. Yes, sir.
Good boy.
Now, put Mr. Buttons back on the shelf and come here. I stopped the video, my hands shaking so badly, I nearly dropped the camera. There were 47 more files. I called my neighbor, Betty, a retired nurse who'd become like a sister to me over the years. Betty,